I've seen a lot of Isekai, but actually having our main character admit they were reincarnated came as quite a shock for me. It's not every day you see that, because it's like, I feel like it's a hidden rule when writing these type of stories, to where the main character, main male or female character, is not able to explain that they come from a different world, that they were reincarnated. It's just not something that is really normally ever dived into for whatever unexplained reason, either through restriction or maybe it's just not really important, stuff like that. But to have our MC elaborate on his previous world to his parents, Blood, Gus, and Mary, came as quite a shock. And I love that entire sequence. Like, there's a lot of good stuff throughout this episode, but that was a scene I just did not expect to have in this episode, because it's like, it shows the character's growth and acceptance and also weakness, and showing that they were at their weakest point in that moment and that they were about to buckle down and fall back to their old ways from their previous life, but thanks to their new life, thanks to, the character's new parents, he was able to stand back up on his own 2 feet and figure out what must be done to be able to do what is right for his family and for himself. It's a very engaging way to kind of give character development, because when you think about what Reincarnated is supposed to be in these type of stories, it's a character having a second chance. That's usually what it is. And when you think about the character's mindset of what, we've had constantly from Will, since the very beginning, always wanted to have a better life, a happier life. That was the entire mindset since episode 1. And when you think about other countless stories that are very similar to this, it's the same. You have characters wanting to better their life, live a better life, and, not wanting to make the same mistakes. And so I appreciate this episode for that, showcasing that the character almost fell down and became the very thing that he didn't want to be, but was able to pick himself back up again. It's beautiful. Beautiful writing. I love Faraway Paladin for that, which there is a few things I do want to talk about before I really dive headfirst into, this week's episode. So you probably saw it if you look at the community tab or whatever for when I type my little comments for YouTube. You probably noticed I mentioned that the author of the Faraway Paladin, kind of shouted me out and retweeted me, etc. Retweeted my past video and what I said, and it comes at a huge shock. Like, I'm flattered. I'm really flattered that the author was able to even notice my, opinion on the series and even took the effort to even retweet my video. I appreciate that so much. What a wholesome and wonderful offer. Not just because of messaging or retweeting me or whatever, but it's because the offer talks to everyone. Like, if you go to the offer's Twitter, you will see continuous replies to many different people in different languages at that. Not just like Japanese or English, but many different languages, and it's hella impressive. And I just want to shout out the beautiful, work of the offer and the amazing person that the offer is to write this work. I really appreciate that. It really just goes to show a lot of character for the offer, and, it's not every day you see that. I love it. But okay, let me dive into this episode. Sorry about that. So Will's main objective of this episode is to fight and combat the evil god, Stagnate, or however you pronounce it. Basically, the god of death. It's the simplest way to put it. Will's entire objective is to beat the god of death and save his family, Mary, Gus, and Blood, from their souls being captured and bound to that said god. So it's a very important moment for Will's character. It's like, if he doesn't do this right, if he fails this encounter against the god of death, he loses his family to this god of death, and it's not like they just, they go to a different plane of existence and they get to live, a new life like, he has. They're eternally bound to this god, living this immortal, mindless life of an undead or whatever, and it would be a very sad existence. That's what I'm assuming. And when you think about the situation, it's like, I wonder if he will, win this. Like, if he will actually be able to stop the God of Death, or if he will fail. Obviously, he did get a huge boost in power up. He got Graceful, which is basically this God of Light that gave him power and the blessing to be able to banish undead, which fits with the whole role of what, a paladin is. And judging by what I saw from this episode with being able to banish undead, I am assuming that when he gets rid of the said undead, he probably unshackles that undead from the chains of the God of Death. For instance, the God of Death, as we know, gains the souls of the individuals and has them under his possession. But I wonder if Will, when he gets rid of the undead, when he actually purifies them, if the souls are unbound from the God of Death and is able to pass on to a different realm. I wonder if that is what the episode was implying. I could be wrong, but if anyone is a light novel reader and can clarify for me, please do so in the comments below. I am very curious about that one. But the point I'm trying to make is that Will has a great power now. He is stepping up to be a paladin, and because of that, he has a few options ahead of him. If he is able to unshackle people from the binds of the God of Death, I see a potential outcome of what's going to happen. He's going to have to purify Blood, Gus, and Mary by using the light and getting rid of them, killing them. But in turn, he'll be able to set them free and have a peaceful, return. And I feel like that's probably what's going to happen, because judging by the God of Death and how the God of Death doesn't probably want to let go of, his souls he's captured, probably won't allow Blood, Gus, and Mary to, be saved. He probably doesn't want that. And I feel like Will is going to try to do something and even go to drastic measures to be able to do said thing. But like I said, we'll see where that's going to go. But diving into different details of this episode, I do think that the whole transition scene of, the afterlife, where Will has that conversation with Graceful, which is the God of Light, is a very beautiful scene for a variety of reasons. For one, it showcases how souls find their way to another world, and kind of how this God of Light, holds this lantern up and just, journeys with the soul behind her, leading their way to where they need to go, their next destination in life. It's a very beautiful moment. It gives a lot of development to the world and also to the character, or at least this God, the God of Light, that, there's a lot of care and love into these individuals, that she wants to guide them down the right path. And I do wonder if it is relatively normal for someone to remember their previous life, or if Graceful actually allowed that to happen to begin with. I have so many questions, but it's clear that Graceful definitely does care about Blood, Gus, and Mary as well, to be able to even help Will out with trying to safeguard his family. It's a very beautiful thing, and I feel like, I really like the character so far, Graceful. I feel like there is a lot of good intentions. I don't feel like, that overall Lord of Light is necessarily manipulative, because when it comes to a lot of gods, especially with, let's say, light gods, like holy gods, they can be very straight arrowed. Basically, if you don't follow their guidelines, you are cast down into fire, basically. And I feel like that right there with her, I don't feel that vibe. I feel like she'll allow Will to make mistakes, but I feel like she still wants him to keep a very righteous path. So I am looking forward to the future of this series, and I feel like the next episode is going to be where things really hit the fan and become very, very fascinating, because it's going to decide the future for Will and his family and what path he's going to, go down. And also, I feel like Stagnant, the God of Death, is probably the main antagonist of the entirety of the story, because when you think about the counter to a paladin, which is a follower of light, the God of Death makes for the best antagonist you can have for a paladin. So, yeah, I feel like this isn't the last time we're going to see of the God of Death as well, and maybe the God of Death will win, get the souls of Blood, Mary, and Gus, and maybe that's Will's entire objective, is to gain their souls back and purify them to allow them to go to the afterlife. We'll see. But I guess I'm going to leave it at that, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video and I gave you a laugh or, interest you in any way, leave a like down below. But with that, guys, be safe. Chibi out.